Heroes Like Us is a series intended at sharing comic book characters from various backgrounds and identities. We won't always get everything right, so feel free to make amendments and corrections in the comments. They're always appreciated. What's not appreciated, however, is any form of hate speech or intolerance, so comments of that nature will be immediately deleted and those users blocked from this channel. This is a place of education and celebration. Welcome to I'm Your Target Demographic, and welcome to Heroes Like Us, where we talk about an identity and then talk about comic book characters that have that identity so that we can all see heroes like us. Today our focus is on English characters. So we've already done Scottish, we will do Irish, we will do, if there's any Welsh popular heroes, but today we are talking about England. So we've got 5 examples, but there are tons, and so we will undoubtedly do a part 2. So if your favorite English character is not here in the comments, I want you to tell me so that in part 2 I make sure to get to them. So let's talk probably the most obvious, because it's right in the name, Captain Britain. This is a Marvel character by the name of Betsy Braddock. He is born in Essex, England. That is where he's from. He basically has the ability, gosh, he can do a lot. He's strong, fast, he can fly. The way he gets his powers is a little different. At certain points in the timeline, he had like an object he had to use, and it was his costume. And now his powers are all based on his confidence. Captain Britain for a while led a group called Excalibur, which is basically a subgroup of the X-Men, but he's also part of something called the Captain Britain Corps. Now this can be a little confusing. Imagine there's a protector of the reality, and in each reality it is Captain Britain. So there are actually times where the Captain Britain of each alternate reality must come together and fight something that is threatening basically all of existence. But Captain Britain is not alone. He has a sister by the name of Betsy Braddock, aka Psylocke. Now Betsy is a powerful telepath, on par with Charles Xavier, Emma Frost. She is what we call an Omega level telepath. Omega level mutant, not quite sure, but in terms of telepath, she is one of the top ones. So this allows her to do things like speak telepathically, control other people's minds, maybe remove memories. She also uses this as a weapon, that she can create weapons and constructs out of mental energy. So she most notably makes katanas or makes this knife that juts from her hands. Now Psylocke is physically a little confusing because that is not Betsy Braddock's body. And this is confusing, and I'm not quite sure where we stand now, but that body is a Japanese assassin by the name of Kwanin, who basically was body swapped with Betsy Braddock, and then that other body was killed, so Betsy is now trapped in this body, and she has all the knowledge that she had, which is why she has all of these fighting skills, and she is basically a ninja. So she's kind of a English mutant trapped in the body of a Japanese assassin. And again, there might be more to that, because looking up how this whole process happened is very confusing. So now let's hop over to DC Comics for another hero or anti-hero by the name of John Constantine. You may know Constantine because he had a movie about him starring Keanu Reeves, which I liked, but I understand why comic fans wouldn't, because it was very, very different. And then there's also a TV show which was canceled way too soon about Constantine starring Matt Ryan. John Constantine started as a supporting character. He's from Liverpool, he's kind of an investigator, and he was a supporting character of the Swamp Thing. And he helped Swamp Thing investigate things that were kind of in the occult and kind of a little supernatural, but people liked him, and he branched off and kind of got his whole own mythology. He is a magician, so he understands magic, how to use it, but he knows how dangerous it is, so he doesn't use it very often. Constantine's stories are relatively dark, usually involving demons and sacrifices and very dark, mature content. He also smokes like a chimney, so he's always smoking, which is something the movies and the TV show had to kind of veer around because that's not as popular in visual mediums. He's also the definition of an anti-hero, which means he tries to do right, but the way he does them might put other people in harm, hurt himself, be selfish. He's not always a good guy. Now let's hop back to Marvel for another character by the name of Union Jack. His real name is Joseph Chapman. This is the third iteration of Union Jack. He is from Liverpool. He's mostly a normal guy, but he's given some boost in power by something called a Pendragon Force, which I won't go into, but it gives him a little amped up speed, strength, things like that. But he is mostly just a guy armed with weapons, so things like guns, grenades, and he is kind of a secret agent that works with like MI6 and groups like that in British intelligence. Is it MI6, MI5, something like that. So again, he fights using guns and weapons, and he is known for blades that are aligned in silver because Union Jack surprisingly fights a lot of undead and vampires. Last on this list is a character by the name of Etrigan. And Etrigan is a demon that embodies... Okay, I need to back up. Let's talk about a guy named Jason Blood, or in later continuity called Jason of Norwich, which is a scribe to Merlin. And Merlin basically encounters this demon Etrigan and has to put him into a body. He needs a host, something to contain him. So he puts him into the scribe named Jason. And this bonds them forever. So they are both now immortal. Jason is a relatively cool-headed, usually right guy, where Etrigan is a demon and sometimes tries to do demonic things. And so there's this conflict of when does the guy summon forth Etrigan? And he does this through kind of a phrase that unleashes him. The demon himself, very powerful. He can kind of spew this hellfire, which can hurt beings like Superman and Shazam and these big characters. So this hellfire is very dangerous. He can fly. He's immensely strong, but he is bound in this mortal body. So those are the 5 that I came up with, but I know there's more. So in the comments, tell me which ones we missed, because I know there's a bunch, so I'm not oblivious to that. But in the next part 2 video, we will cover them. So thanks for watching. Hopefully you were able to see some heroes like you. We'll see you next time.